Well, hello again, people. How are you? Good to see you again. This is Tom. This is the INFJ experience. Listen, people, you know what? I was trying to think to myself, what can I talk about? I got to come up with a topic. I got to come up with some little dilemma that, we have that I got to kind of troubleshoot and explain away or something. It's like, do I always have to do that? I don't always have to troubleshoot anything, do I? I mean, sometimes it's good just to hang out and talk. You know what I mean? I mean, really. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what this is all about. That's what this experience is. We're not always have to vent or have a problem, an issue, and things. I know people have issues out there, and we all do. And I go through them from time to time. I'm sure we all do, and we know what we got going on. But you know what? Maybe just hearing somebody talk about little things in their life, even if you're having a little bit of an issue, people, and I hope you're not, but if you are, and you're looking for some kind of solace, maybe just hearing a story will at least just put you at ease to know, yeah, well, you think like that too. I got a story that happened to me, and I want to tell you, I kind of want to lead into it, and I want to get your thoughts. Maybe you can give me some insight too as far as what goes on. It's about the mind. It's about time. A lot of it's about time and how we reference time and things like that. Now here's why. Let me start my story. Back when I was a kid, I always used to kind of project things. I always used to wonder what I'd be like when I got old. I always wondered. In fact, I used to always pick years, like, okay, what am I going to be like in the year 2015, let's say? What am I going to be like in the year 2020, And then I'd say, well, I'll be this old, and I might be doing that. What'll I be doing? I tried to imagine. I don't know if many kids did that, but maybe that was my long-term planning going on. Maybe that was just me looking into my future outcome, trying to find future possibilities. I didn't know it at the time and about intuition and how it worked. Yeah, maybe that's all it was. But now what I concluded is I'd be an older guy, and I'd probably be driving a truck because at the time I was still doing just blue collar work, driving trucks, doing mechanic work and tire work and things like that. And I figured I'm probably just going to be that. That's what I do for work. And when I get older, before I retire, that's about what I'll be doing. Be doing something in a truck. Well, I used to have these visions of always these memories that I had as a kid. I was driving my truck and it always looked dark and it always looked shadowy and it always just had that look about it. And I thought, wow, that's what memories are. That's what imagination is, excuse me. That's what they are. You think in that way, so all of them, that's what your mind is creating. That's the abstract, it's just kind of creating a kind of a dark place and everything like that. I thought that's all it is. So let me just zoom back to about the present time. All right, about a year ago, I'm doing my job, and now I got a night job. All right, and I do drive a truck at night, and I deliver product at night, deliver fuel. So I'm driving at night, right? And it just dawned on me, one day I just looked around and it was dark and it was shadowy, because I'm driving at night because I got a night job now. And it zoomed me right back to when I was a kid. I said, you know what? I can't believe it. I feel like I envisioned what I'd be doing. Like I saw this 40, 50 years earlier when I was a kid. I don't know how old I was exactly. And I thought, was I really seeing myself in the future? Have I foreseen this? I was questioning this. So I was already thinking that I foreseen something about my future. And maybe a couple days later, maybe a week, I can't remember how long, but it was a little bit of time passed. And I had another vision. I was in the middle of just doing a job, delivering fuel. And a very vivid kind of a thought came into my mind. I almost remembered myself as a kid. Now, about 45 years ago, give or take, back in the early 80s, I did something pretty stupid. I was 16 years old and I was having a hard time at home and I ran away from home. Yeah, go figure. Yeah, I was having issues at home, having issues at school, having issues with a lot of things going on in my life, and I decided to run away from home. So I ran away, but my father who I didn't really see very much. I mean, my parents got divorced when I was about 3, and long story as to why, but I kind of grew up without a dad. So, but long story short, things weren't going so well at home with school, things like that. I decided I was going to run away. So I got $100. I grabbed I grabbed a Greyhound bus in Boston, and I took a bus to San Diego. And I lived on the streets for a few months, for about maybe 7 months. And I ran into my brother, and he kind of let me stay with him for a little while and all that. And so I ended up bumping into my father, excuse me. My brother reintroduced me to my father because he had in contact with him. So he came to visit, and I spent a little bit of time with him. But then I realized my dad had his own set of issues. I kept thinking Dad would be so much better. You know what I mean? Okay, Mom was all right. She had her things going on. School was just having its issues. But I always thought, maybe I just need Dad for a little bit. Well, Dad had his own issues too. Dad had his own set of internal problems, and Dad was, let's just say, he wasn't all with it. And I kind of detected that. I sensed it. To make a long story short, me and my brother and his girlfriend, we ended up going up north to like this kind of like a festival, like a hippie festival. Because they were hippies in that generation. Yeah, and I spent a little bit of time up at this hippie festival, and I did some stupid things, let's just say. So, bottom line is, after that, him and his girlfriend had a big fight, and he ended up leaving, and he left. He left me too. Kind of had to get all, I don't know what he got all bent out of shape about, but he left. So, and then eventually his girlfriend decided to leave too, because she found a ride by herself, and she decided to go back to Boston. Back to San Diego herself. So guess what? I was kind of abandoned again, almost. I felt like, well, maybe not again, but I was abandoned pretty much. They had enough of me, I guess. You know what I mean? So I was alone. So I decided I'm going back home. Then I found out about riding freight trains. Hey, so I decided I'd get on a freight train. Now this is where my story begins. I started riding a freight train, and I went several hundred miles going eastbound toward Boston. And by this time I was up in like the Washington area, the Idaho, Montana area. I think I was up there when this took place. So I remember just riding hundreds of miles at night, just sitting on the freight train, huddled in there. I was tired, I was hungry and all that. Just a runaway kid doing stupid stuff, you know what I mean? But, okay, I know I'm laughing now, people. I wasn't laughing at the time. I was not very happy as a kid sometimes. These were trying times for me. Well, my story started when I told you, like, I was fueling trucks, and I thought I had envisioned myself as a kid, looking at myself in the future. So what happened was I actually envisioned where I was in the future, fueling those trucks at night. Something happened where it almost seemed like a moment happened where I just randomly was doing my job, and a really vivid, almost like something opened up, like a memory, a very vivid memory, almost like I was intertwined memory-wise with myself as a kid riding that freight train at night. And it almost seemed to me, I remember thinking, I saw myself, and it actually got me a bit emotional as I was doing my job. Luckily I was alone, but I remember thinking, oh my God, I said, Tommy, what are you doing? And that was just, it was almost like I had a conversation with myself 40 years, like almost through a time warp. And I remember thinking, I said, Tommy, you need to go home, go back home. Things are going to be all right. You have to go home, and the life you're living now, you're not going to live very long if you keep down this path. And you got to go home and never do this again. And I got a little bit emotional as I said it. So, and then it seemed like it went away. And I never forgot that. And I thought, well, maybe that was just a big, vivid, wild imagination, like a science fiction novel, you know what I mean? But then it got me thinking, at that time, in that freight train, I was doing a lot of thinking, and I'll tell you, I was miserable. And it's a good possibility. I mean, a thought came to me, almost like a thought said, you need to go home and never do this again. Almost like it was me telling myself in the future through this time warp. It almost felt like a mental interdimensional time warp gone through. Now, people, you could chalk it up, like I said, it's probably just a big bunch of imagination, and it's just a big science fiction story. And I don't quite believe it myself. I kind of do, but I don't. But I just know what happened, and it was a strange vision that I had. And I might think to myself, you know, you hear about these prophets, you hear about these biblical prophets that used to, you know, foresee future events, hundreds of years in the future. Like you had Nostradamus, you had other ones from the Bible too. You had a lot of them that just made predictions and prophecies. So I mean, you know, you heard about Edgar Casey. He was another one. I think he was INFJ too, actually. I'm not sure, but I think he was. But yeah, you heard about him, and he made a lot of these predictions as well. He saw things into the future, wrote them down, and a lot of them came true. So the ability for prophecies is there. It's not proven, but it has been documented, and it has happened through the course of like history. There's been cases where certain people have had prophetic visions and things like that. So anyway, people, see, we like the deep conversation. I figured, you know what, I could probably do a deep conversation right about now. Talk a little bit about something like that. That's all. You know what I mean? But so people, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So anyway, people, that's my story, and I hope, like I said, I didn't have anything land breaking as far as any advice to talk about. Oh, there's some people going by in kayaks over there. Yeah, they're just kind of doing their thing. But so anyway, people, I think that was my story. So people, I hope you like that. I hope you stuck around this long. I mean, I can imagine some people may not have wanted to hear all of that. I kind of rambled on a bit, but if you did stick around, thank you so much. And if you are still here, please support my channel and give me some thumbs up and subscribe to me, and let me know you like this content so I can continue to make more. And I look forward to doing this again when we do. All right, well then, thank you, people. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day.